It was volume 2. Berkeley Square, that's where right there. I don't think anything else is there anymore. There's anything listed here. Except for TJ Maxx. And that, I think. That's still around. But yeah, Old Country Buffet, I mentioned that before. Was that the Mac, San Francisco? Yeah, I miss the Old Country Buffet. Good place. Jeez. I mentioned this in a really old eBay video. But that Berkeley Square was an indoor mall. One time, completely indoor. Nowadays, the only sign that it was is the area around TJ Maxx. Well, I went to the flea market today. I found a couple of coins and stuff like that, and I found a box fan, mini box fan. You can kind of hear it, and you can see it over here. Little JCPenney. It's in really good condition. There's no rust or paint chips or anything. Very little dust. No grill breakage. The stand's in really good shape. So yeah, I'm using it right now. But at first we thought there wasn't going to be anything. Because initially, so here's the fairgrounds. And normally, in the past, they've had it all the way through here. In that area. But we parked over here. Let's see, where's that? We parked over here. But we noticed that there's nothing in this area. These buildings were closed. Which, by the way, those buildings are ones that they have flea markets in during the winter. And there was nothing over here. There were two guys playing drums right in there. Or no, right in over here. So we had to go all the way down here because it was just in these. Actually, I don't think it wasn't even in that one, just these three. And then there were a couple of musical and audio vines. Little squeeze box type thing. Tapes, record player, mini guitar, another violin. World smallest violin. Old music box. There's a snare drum. Nice one too. Saxophone. One of these. No sax.
Flute. Flute. Flute.
Old phones for microphones. Some of you may know the reference there. Continuing on. Ground Round, that's not there anymore. Especially at that location. Used to be out by the airport, but now it's the Mexican place where we went today. And then we were after Jess's wedding a couple weeks ago, or not weeks ago, a couple months ago. I don't think music, it sounds familiar. And there's Roland. Bosendorfer, nice. There's a ceiling fan. Northern Lights. Didn't sailing out there anymore. Johnson's. Oh, but that's where the home furniture is now. You've seen that in my elevator video. Madonna Towers, that's still around. Madonna Tower. K&M, yep, they're still around. Still pretty lucrative. I see their trucks quite often. Woodruff, yep, I think they're still there. We got our bathtub there in Austin. Oh my gosh. You would not get away. You wouldn't get away with calling it that nowadays. And the courthouse isn't there anymore. And City Hall isn't there anymore. It's like over here now. Yeah. I don't think you'd get away with abbreviating it that nowadays. $1.75. It was $10 this time. That turned a lot of people away. I saw a balloon today coming home. Let's see who's looking. Oh, right there. That's one of my sister, Steph, goes to, and Dad too. I was just trying to find the one that we performed at last year. Thought that was something else, but it isn't. Econo Foods. I mentioned that. It's another place I miss. It's right here. And this Trader Joe's used to be World Market too. That was a cool place. I think it. Let's see. Yep, you can just see that World Market thing there. I used to get my Maui onion chips. Nowadays they have it at Five Below once in a while. These. Another post pulls in, but this looks familiar. When did Ward have groceries like meat? Huh. Interesting. The old butcher shop, yep, they're still around. Buckman's. No, I don't think so. John Barleycorn. No, I don't think they're there anymore. Wiggly Wiggly. I think that was in Crossroads, where Sabres is now. Fleet Farm. Yep, they're still around. Except it's in a different place. I think I might have mentioned that. It used to be right here. But yeah, it was there, but now it's over here. Right there. We were just there tonight too. Mom had to get some spray paint. And they have some of the best chocolate stars ever. I almost never leave the store without some. In fact, bought a package tonight. See? And I'm planning on digging into it in a couple of minutes here. So yeah, it's a nice store. They have Gentex Commander 3s. And then their gas station there has Commander 4s in the convenience store area. Well, I tried to look up stuff from Wisconsin and Janesville area. Couldn't find anything. I even looked up fire alarm. Couldn't find anything. Even fire. Couldn't find anything. Turns out, 1857 to 1860. And then weekly. And what they had when we lived there was just the Janesville Gazette, not morning or weekly. So yeah, that's why I couldn't find anything. There's an archive, sadly. So I guess we'll just stay in Minnesota. Might go down Iowa, Fort Dodge area, but definitely not anywhere near as acquainted to that as up here in Austin. Too bad. Yeah, too bad the Gazette doesn't have anything archived. That place is still around, and they still use the same font or same logo. Yep, still in Fountain. KMT, that's Mason City area. You can see right there. Even though now their offices are up here. Studio. KVT. Sounds familiar. Mom probably would have loved that. I don't think it's McDonald Hall anymore. Even though I really haven't paid attention to. Kind of hard to see with those stripes. Yeah, Hanny's, that's still around. I pass by it nearly every day when I walk. It's in the pedestrian subway. Kim's Original, never heard of it. Come back to Austin here. What is this? Is it? Is it? Because if that's who I think it is, he's the one that did the auctions for my Auction Chronicles videos. UBC. This is like alphabet, yeah. Never heard of them. No. Service Master, yeah, it's still around. I never heard of them. Exclusively Diamond, never heard of that. I don't know, hearing aid, yeah, heard of it. I think I've ever heard of that one, Farm Bureau, yeah. Hair Hut, nope. Good Times. I think I've seen that. I've never been in there. Yep, been there. Nemesis. I think I've heard of that. Might have been where we went when Steph got married. As for her bridal stuff and stuff. stuff. That's for us, guys. I can't remember where we went. Probably see it here. Oh, Milliken. Oh, they were around back then? Because they provided the carpet for the subway system in Kaler there. Saw my videos. I guess this all but confirms it. With the boxes I saw. Those big carpet tiles. Wallace's, yeah, I think I've heard of that. Jessica's friend from up the street, her last name was Wallace. Hormel Employees Credit Union, yeah. What does that sound? Oh, I guess Dad's secretary was named Marcia, but her last name was different. And that, I wonder if she's the wife of our science teacher in high school. His name was Dick, if I remember right. Yeah, this was funny, sad but funny. But there was this girl from Vietnam. Her name was spelled B-I-C-H. And, well, I accidentally pronounced it. But she laughed too, though, because probably, sadly, she just heard it all her life. But anyway, one thing I remember about him, too, is a couple days before tests on the blackboard, you'd have, like, coming attractions, Sector 5 test, or Section 5 test, or whatever. I always imagine a camera mounted above the classroom door. So let's just say this is the classroom door here. So it'll be like that. Then you can see the students file in like this. Coming attractions. They're getting attracted to the classroom. And then this is where the Accenture is. Dad still has an account there, I do believe. And then you saw it, a little bit of at least, the elevator video, the Chime compilation. 4 integrities on that post. I'm not sure if you saw a full one, but elevated over here. Central Credit Union. Must be Hormel Employees Credit Union. Look over. Yeah, you saw the chime compilation. They have Edwards Integrities there. Grown. Last time I was there, they did at least. And then it was interesting, they had this post that had 4 of them on each side, or 1 on each side, I should say, not 4. And then in the wall close by, there was another one. So, let's see. There. 4 integrities on that post. Sadly, I don't have access to an integrity right now. I still have one, but it's in my my storage unit. So we'll just use this as a stand-in. So there was one here, and the post was square, so it wasn't rectangular like this. There was one here, one there, one there, and of course, one on that side. And then the actual wall, the other wall, was probably where this wall is. So of course, including these, there was one all the way over here. Or not really all the way, just over there. I'll bet that got deafening. Nothing I remember about that is back in Cedar Valley. And one thing I remember that was back when I had job trials in Cedar Valley. One of them was cleaning, and we cleaned that building after they closed for the day. March, yeah, I think I've heard of it. And then what I do, and then we do the courthouse too, or not really the courthouse, but not government center either. Law enforcement center. There it is. It's right here. So we do this one first, and then go to Accenture, and then they'd go to other places, and I'd go home. Actually, we started at Cedar Valley, then come here, then Accenture. Then what I do, though, I was charged with cleaning like mirrors and stuff in the restrooms. And I clear the strobe lights. I clean the strobe lights in the restrooms. And they asked me why. I said, to make sure they are as bright as possible. I said, that's a good idea. We'll have to put that into our regiment. Obviously, just a little coating of dust is not going to affect the candle rating that much. Yeah, Ramsey Golf Course is still around. Oop. I think Main Event's still around. It was interesting when we moved there, and I saw that, I thought it was like some wrestling arena or something. Oh! Okay, I know her. I know her very well. I think I mentioned that. I didn't mention her, but the auctioneer for my Auction Chronicles videos, he was her backup, if you will, or like relief auctioneer. That's what I'm trying to think of. So yeah, we were at many of her auctions. I got an FT777 with powder blue horn at one of hers, and I think ESL 206 / Captain Kelly and another one. You got a couple of fans there too. She has an antique store. At least I think she still does. And outside of Austin, we were there a couple of years ago with my brother Jeff's wife. Or no, my brother Jeff's son's wife that I mentioned last year. I talked about last year that got married. They picked up a couple things and I got this. One of these gym baskets. You put your clothes in. As you can see, I'm using it as paper storage. And actually, it's her birthday today, so. And Keen, yep, they're still around, still using that same logo. You don't need to see that. Here we go. This is not in our area, but not telling us what brand it is. 87, so. Pretty nice ones. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Lifesaver and then Probe. Yeah. I remember seeing a picture of one where they used a hanger like that to hold a Norelco HB0933. Low tone, no. Oh yeah, about this. And I forgot to edit that into the last volume, but it was pretty long anyway. But I mentioned our bowling center in Austin had that, as a gutter ball, the Big G. Not anymore though, because they just installed a new scoring system. And then they had some cool computer animations, like if you got a strike. Like, if I remember right, there was one that the ball would walk along and kick the pin down. I'm not sure if it was from like a national library or something. Or maybe it was a local, because there's a guy who taught computers and stuff in Austin. He taught that desktop video I talked about. And he did a lot of stuff with Lightwave, which is a 3D program. So maybe he provided those animations for him. Who knows? Ginny's, yep, they're still around. Blocked down for me. I wonder if that's that same place. I think it is. I think they're still around. No, they're not. This is what I was thinking of, but that's not 100. This is 400. Anyway, where would this have been then? Well, it doesn't help me a lot. 101st Avenue, northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast. I think it might be this one over here. So yeah, this is the 101st Avenue. So it's probably in here somewhere. Well, it definitely isn't anymore. That's not there anymore. What's that? That's too. I think they changed too. Yeah. Because that was down in the bottom here. Subway of the Center Place building. Even now it's called like Illyris Tower or something like that, even though it's not been officially designated that yet. Yeah, you probably saw it during the escalator video, even though they weren't even open then. Or escalator videos. Down fit my feet. And they actually changed to that before they moved. Right there. Hardee's. I always wanted fried chicken, but for a while they had really good fried chicken. We need to get some options around here. And even ones back in Austin there. Okay, we're running out of time though. Ceiling fan, let's see. Again, it doesn't say. The Northwest Bank, that's what is now Wells Fargo for us. I remember ours in Austin. Hard to see with that blurred area there. Yeah, this was Northwest. Then it became that, of course. What? Again, you would never see that nowadays. Never. You would never see that nowadays. And here's this one. And these are the Rittenhouse ones. Wish we can find more of them. 'Cause right now, I think Ben's the only one that has a Rittenhouse alarm. I think that's one of these. Let's see. No. Of course, this was 83, so this is long before we moved there. But yeah, this was our church when we lived in Austin. Even though I think ours was 10:30 instead of 11. Right here. Go away, drop pin. This is the side. And I remember here, in that stairway, there was an interesting bulb. See if I can find one, because it had like almost looked like a mercury vapor bulb, because it had a little squared off section. Actually, we're just going to continue this in the next volume. So thanks for watching.